Hello, everybody. I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes to get in here. I know you guys are used to us getting here a little bit late, but it's just gonna be me here tonight, doing this solo dolo. So, shout out to Mr. Cy Lawson out there. Hopefully, he's having a good evening and have a lot of fun on the time off. Real quick. I know normally I like to click off the camera when I'm retweeting anything because I feel it's kind of rude to be looking away from the camera and looking down, but I wanted to get started on time, and I wanted to make sure to retweet this out so everybody knows we are live. So hopefully they will come through. And then I've already retweeted it once. Let me retweet it on my other accounts or other accounts. Almost ready. One more here. And then let me put a message out on the Facebooks. So hold on a second. Let me go to my channel and share, and then we will get started right after that. Okay, Facebook feed. All right. Cool. And let me plug my phone into charger. All right, cool. I see Jira Brown is here in the building. It says latest Twitter files. Yeah, I can't click that here, Jira, but I always forget to retweet your tweets for the show. Yeah, I mean, I know that even on Twitter, my stuff doesn't get out that much, but I can't complain if I don't at least try. And the same thing with Facebook. And occasionally some people will check it out on Facebook, but sometimes they won't. So if I don't at least try, then I can't complain, right? And so let's see, we're equal opportunity Coopers. Chile, Bolivia, Peru, 3 countries that border each other, and 2 countries, Chile and Peru, which are blocking the third, Bolivia, from having a seaport. Interesting. Let me check over on Rockfin, make sure it's up. It looks like it is up. Looks like we got 2 currently watching. Actually, let me check it on my phone also. Sometimes I've had times before in the past where I thought it was up and it just wasn't. So I just want to make sure that it is. That way I'll feel comfortable knowing. Okay, new. All right, cool. I do see that we're up and going. So as you all come into the room, make sure to give a shout out. I will throw the intro up and give it a little bit more time for people to get, that'll give some people a little bit more time to get in here. Plus, I got a couple of things that I was going to talk about just in general that don't have to do with the main topics. I see Streets is in the building. What's up? Much love to you, brother. So, all right, let's get the intro started.
You were here because you have a question. Really get down to understanding this political matrix.
Out there, the stunt double. He walked out. He's got an oximeter on his back. I'm like, you gotta keep this other. Marcus said on his other show. He was like, American politics is simply pro wrestling.
He became afraid of everyone because people were reporting on each other.
We're living out Minority Report too as well. And you know what? You know why we know that, boss? Because we've been reporting on it. Yeah, I know.
All the black people in this country be willing to take a reservation.
That's what the Nation of Islam was asking for.
Put a couple of clips together.
It's
crazy to see how much Martin Luther King really began to look like, damn, man, Malcolm was fucking right.
I mean, what is the elite's end game?
There's this assumption that as a Black commentator or Black journalist that you're not informed.
Relationships, that's a skill we have to learn.
It's even more kind of mind-blowing because we're supposed to be the multicultural space.
Trying to drum up money to keep the war machine going so they can keep the donors happy.
Yeah. Do the Chinese own part of that?
This began a long time ago. Ukraine has had a neo-Nazi problem for decades.
Proof of sanction, am I right?
I don't know if Dongcopters will do it, but something's got to be able to save the world.
From the private industry here.
You know, like I say, people come on here, they can say stuff they don't normally say on their own shows, which is fine.
Oh, it's McDonald's. Whoop-de-doo.
Ooh.
Their cholesterol is going to to Yeah, good.
Look, we only exist because we have the biggest military, kid.
And silencing a person like Julian Assange. Because it affects everybody. And today, last week, believe you me, because they know who you are. They watch. They got people that's going out there. They don't want you guys having the conversations that you're having on this show. Mm-hmm. So it affects the political matrix today.
Hello and welcome everybody. I am one half of the Political Matrix. I am Young Morpheus here. Glad to spend another Saturday night with you all. And for those who are catching this on the replay on whether that's later on tonight, depending on which area code you are in, or if this is already Sunday. Glad you took the time to watch. Got some interesting topics here. We're going to be talking a little bit about the crisis in Peru. We're going to talk about some of the information that's came out with the Pfizer drop lately. And let's see, I guess I must have screwed up my spelling there. Oh, no. I guess I did spell it right. Ecto, well, yeah, I guess I did. It's supposed to be Ecto, Life, Wombs, and More. But I guess that got screwed up somewhere in there, and I'll go back and fix that later on. But yeah, it has been very, very interesting, some of the topics that I've been dealing with and seeing throughout this week. Some of this for the second half of this, I'm gonna want to go to as far as like Pfizer and the Ecto, I don't know why it went, I don't know, ectopic, I don't know why it even, I guess it must have been spell checked that did that, but it's supposed to be Ecto Life Wombs. We're going to be going into that, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about euthanasia. So it's an interesting topic that has been kind of getting a little bit popularized in Canada. So that's what we'll do. And at a certain portion for the Pfizer stuff and for the Ecto Life Wombs, we will be doing those over on the Rockfin side. I'm just trying to be careful with the stuff which goes on with Pfizer. Don't want too many problems. Let's see, nobody's hopped into the chat on the Rockfin side, so going ahead and keep moving along. I just put up a short recently on the channel. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. Let me see if I can pull it. Well, I can save that for the whole Pfizer section. That's what I'll do with that. But I guess we'll start off with the main, the first story will be the crisis in Peru. So let's pull it up. Where are my links for it? I had a couple of links for it, and yeah, I guess I'll start with this one first. Get this one up, and I gotta stop this autoplay on my thing. I literally got like 4 things playing at the same time in my ear. So hold on. So there we go. I'll start with this one over here first. Yeah, this autoplay is convenient sometimes, but a pain in the ass at other times. Hey, I see Uncle Warren in the building. What's up? It's good to see you. Make sure you guys follow him, and then after you're done over here, make sure to always go and check him out. He's normally having the after party or sometimes pre-party, depending on how long we run over here. Because sometimes we get run a little overtime, but definitely make sure to share some love with them. Oh, I also forget. Many times Autris is in here. For those who don't know, Autris has a channel also. Make sure to go over there, give him a sub, give him some love also. But yeah, I always forget that because I randomly he'll do a live and then I'm watching and I'm like, man, I never shout out Autris. So please make sure to give him some love also. So I want to pull up this first clip in case you guys are in the dark and don't know what's going on there. I know not this audience. I know you guys already are familiar with what's going on over there, but just in case, I wanted to pull up this clip, well, a couple of clips here, and that way we can get it on the record what's going on, and then I'll give my commentary. So back up. But here, check this out.
This morning, chaos in Peru. Hundreds of American tourists trying to flee the country after the government declared a state of emergency. Violence erupting in the streets with the recent ouster and arrest of its former president Pedro Castillo. Protesters demanding his freedom and new elections. Flights and railways coming to a halt, forcing some tourists to make their way on foot.
Once I made it to the train station to head back to Cusco, they said everything was shut down due to the coup.
Miami firefighter Brian Vega vacationing in Machu Picchu, a top tourist destination. He's now trapped in the village with hundreds of others filming this line of tourists trying to flee by helicopter.
It's a line forming for a possible evacuation either tonight or tomorrow.
Like this family from Knoxville, Tennessee.
And we just really want to get back to our families.
Vega says the only way out is an 8-hour hike. With no timetable on an evacuation, he says the situation is deteriorating with supplies running low.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. You know, I have family back home. I have my wife and 2 children.
The State Department now issuing a level 3 travel advisory, urging citizens to reconsider traveling to Peru because of the crime and civil unrest. This warning is just one step down from a do not travel advisory.
Everything is literally going to shambles around us.
Yesenia Munoz, now in Cusco, has been in Peru on vacation since early December, watching the conflict escalate. She too desperate to get out.
We were at a restaurant and they're like, we have to turn off the lights and get away from the windows because there's looters. Like that's not normal. That's not okay.
Now, the demonstrators want early presidential elections, but Peru's Congress has rejected those demands, plunging the country into deeper political turmoil with international tourists caught in the middle. Meanwhile, flights are slowly starting to resume. Yesenia, who you saw in our piece there, well, she's booked a ticket for Sunday, but fears it could get cancelled. Lama Hassan, ABC News, London.
Which that is a little bit of an improper framing from the reporter there. I just wanted to show that clip so you guys can visually see what's going on in there. I do have another clip. I know I typically don't use this. I typically don't use Democracy Now! Because they normally throw a lot of heavy political lean. Sometimes I agree with it. Many times I don't. But for this one, I think they did a good job at least explaining out some of what's going on. And here she's going to say, I believe, the death toll was at 17. I was listening on, what was it? I think it was either CNN Espanol or it might have been, what was it? Noticias Peru. And they were saying that the death total is around 22. So Hey, I was just talking about Atras, and like I was saying, make sure you all kind of make sure you guys go and check out his channel. Also, give him a like, subscribe. He does some good work over there, but I often do forget to shout him out. And I see Yipper in the building. What's up, Yipper? So this is the one that I saw from Democracy Now! It's 19 minutes long. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I will play some of it because, granted, there are always so many stories for us to get into that, I mean, I don't expect everybody to be on top of every single issue. So just showing you guys a little bit of this so we can be abreast of the situation. So when I make my commentary and talk about certain things, it won't be just coming out of nowhere. Briefly, what's kind of happened is, the president, Castillo, they have jailed him and taken him out of office. And a lot of the protests have been a lot of his younger, more ardent supporters who have been, pushing back against this system, pushing back against this arrest, and wanting him reinstalled into power. So in short, that's what it is from that perspective. But in deeper, it's a lot more complicated than that. But just keep in mind, this is kind of like if leftists kind of gotten somebody into power, they were doing some of the things they want, and then the establishment starts wheeling and dealing ways to yank them out of power, but do it within somewhat legal means, if not, I mean, they're legal means that they use to get him out of power, but is it kind of bending and twisting a lot of things to make it happen and kind of fabricating information? Most definitely. So here, I'll play a little bit of this so you guys can, for those who aren't familiar, can get a little abreast of it. And for those who, if I misrepresented anything or missed anything, this will fill in some of the information or things that I might have forgotten.
We begin today's show in Peru, where mass protests are intensifying following the ouster and jailing of President Pedro Castillo. According to the news agency EFE, at least 9 protesters were killed Thursday, bringing the death toll to at least 17 over the past week. Many of those dead are teenagers. Police have attacked protesters with tear gas and live ammunition. On Thursday, a judicial panel ruled Castillo should remain locked up for 18 months of pretrial detention. The right-wing Peruvian Congress voted to remove Castillo on December 7th after he moved to temporarily dissolve the Peruvian Congress ahead of an impeachment vote. Castillo's vice president, Dina Boluarte, was quickly sworn in to replace him. On Wednesday, she announced a state of emergency across Peru. Protesters are demanding Castillo be returned to power.
They have declared a state of emergency because they want to shut the voice of the people. But the people will keep protesting. We will keep fighting until the end for all our fallen brothers. The politicians giving the orders are responsible for this. We are furious, outraged with everything that is happening. That is why we are here, asking for Congress to close down and for the current president, Dina Boluarte, to resign. She doesn't represent us.
Pedro Castillo is a left-leaning former teacher and union leader from rural Peru who was president for less than a year and a half before his ouster. Last year, he defeated Keiko Fujimori, the daughter of Peru's former dictator, Alberto Fujimori. Protesters accused the Peruvian Congress of unfairly targeting Castillo ever since he defeated Fujimori.
It is totally unfair. I hope the Peruvian people will rise and defend the popular vote. We elected him. The Peruvian people elected him. The Congress did not let him work. All Peruvians are aware of this. The Congress of the Republic never allowed President Pedro Castillo to work.
The leaders of Mexico, Colombia, Argentina, and Bolivia have issued a joint statement to voice support for Castillo, calling him a victim of anti-democratic harassment. Meanwhile, the president-elect of Brazil, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has taken a different stance, saying Castillo's removal from power was, quote, carried out within the constitutional framework. For more, we go to Lima, Peru, where we're joined by Eduardo González Cueva. He's a Peruvian sociologist and human rights expert. Welcome to Democracy Now! It's great to have you with us. Can you just explain what's happening right now and give us a description of the lead up to why the president, Castillo, is now in jail with thousands surrounding the jail?
Good morning, Amy. Thank you for having me. A massacre. What's going on is a massacre. This is what is happening right now in Peru. On the one side, you have a massacre caused by the indolence of social elites in this country who believe that the life of a campesino is worth less than any other. It's caused by the incompetence of our political class, and I include in that Pedro Castillo and his enablers, who were always incapable of finding political solutions to political problems. And it's caused by the despair of the people who see that this constitutional order does not represent their interests or their voices. That is what is happening. What is happening is a coup within a coup. Castillo did not have the law in his hand when he tried to dissolve parliament. But it is important to remember that he did not try to dissolve parliament only. He also announced that he will rule by decree and that he would also intervene the judiciary power. So the idea was a coup not just against Congress, which is an institution that is widely repudiated in the country, but also against the judiciary, which was investigating his entourage for accusations of corruption that seemed to be quite serious at the moment. So that was Castillo's attempt. Why did he do that? We will know at some point, because the reality is that apparently the opposition did not have the votes to actually impeach him that day. But of course, that attempt of a coup, that tentative, was responded by a real coup. That is, Congress, with the law in its hand, actually proceeded to impeach Castillo immediately. It got the votes that it didn't have, because even people from parliamentary groups that supported Castillo voted to impeach him, and then sworn in the vice president of Castillo's presidential formula, Dina Boluarte. And what has happened after that is that, of course, we have had a situation in which the people reacted very quickly because of the agitation that obviously such a situation is going to cause. Castillo was not terribly popular. His popularity, according to polls, was around 30%. But Congress is even more unpopular. Congress approval, according to polls, is about 9%. So it was a fight between very illegitimate political sectors. Now, what happened is that the repression with which the first protests is faced, that is what causes an avalanche of protests. And the complete incapability of the regime led by Mrs. Boluarte to actually find forms of solution with what the people are asking. What the people are asking are several different things, sometimes even.
So I figure I will stop it there. He gave a little bit of some of what's going on, and he gave some of perspective from what I have discerned and looking at when he says that he wasn't very popular. He was only at 30%. Well, we have a government which has been run, I always forget the name, Fujimoto, I believe, Fujimura, I can't remember. But basically, her father was a dictator and was running the country the way he saw fit. And he was running it for basically, you guessed it, the capitalists and the colonialists. Which, if you do not understand politics in Latin America, it is still heavily colonized. Thomas got a couple of good comments in there. I'll start with this last one he put. He said it could be CIA. It wouldn't be surprising. Well, they definitely are involved. What happens is you have a majority that have been propped up by Western powers, mainly the USA and MI6. They have been pushing certain things and helping keep people into government. What happens is when they don't have enough to kind of get people across the border, they do a lot of other things to get those people to fall in line to be able to impeach him. So it's not that it's not that all of a sudden all these Castillo supporters all of a sudden just flipped on him. These people were coerced and pushed into it. The same way which there's always political wrangling and maneuvering going on. We got to remember that this government was an extremely unpopular government for a very, very long time. And it's because of the outright corruption that has went on. And it's the same thing if you guys remember what happened with Lulu. This is the same kind of situation that was happening with him, years back. So this is just history repeating itself over and over again. Let me hop into the comments real quick. I see Shelly is in here. What's up, Shelly? And I see Neil's algorithm is in here, 7 away from 100. Everybody that's out there, if you're not already subscribed, you run over and give our friend a quick sub real quick, help him hit that 100. Thomas here says the right-wing and neoliberal colonial hierarchy is terrified of losing power to the left. The workers and the Black and indigenous peoples, they've seen what happened in Bolivia, Chile, Brazil, and Colombia. Exactly. This is the same kind of thing. What I remember when I first started digging into politics in the global South, in particular Latin America, what I started to notice is the same kind of situation that was going on basically in the United States and in most Western countries. Well, most Western countries that have a diverse population, not the ones which are more homogeneous, like a Sweden and Denmark and stuff like that, which is like 90-something% Caucasian. Well, when you start having populations where they have a decent amount of Black and brown cultures, whether that's Native Latinos, Black people, Africans, people from India, China, all these different other regions and other nations and other cultures. A lot of times there starts to be a certain class divide, and a lot of times those class divides run along racial lines too. If you look back to what was going on with Cuba, you had under the Batista regime, Batista was very, very favorable to the wealthy in the country, and which tended to be people who were more on the lighter complexion, if not outright, descendants of Spaniards or other Europeans, and very brutal to the Black and brown community that was in there. So when you had a Castro or Che Guevara, when you had them come in to push for power, they had a lot of the popularity of the people because of the racial divide and the class divide that was going on that went hand in hand. And these countries are no different. That's what's going on. And if you look back into what's happened with the CIA and a lot of these other foreign governments and their what am I thinking of? Their clandestine forces. We know how many times that there's been coups and assassinations and all that stuff that's Western powers are involved in, and this is no different of a situation. So let's hop down a little bit more. Shelly is in here. What's up? Yes, it'll be a little bit of a moderator stream. I'm gonna try to mix it up a little bit. I just wanted to go for at least this first part that I am able to do on YouTube. I will be switching this off at some point to go into some of these other topics on Rockfin. I don't want to slip up and say the wrong damn thing and get my ass in trouble. again. So that's what I will do. Let me check over to the Rock fans, see if we got any comments over there. All right, we do got some comments. Oh yeah, that's right. I responded to Mary while that one was going. Stargazer, thank you so much for the gracious tip. There's just so many things that are going on right now, and I don't want people to not keep all of these things in mind, because all of these things, well, of course, some of you guys know my thoughts on some of this stuff, but I believe it's all going along with prophecy, and we're going to see all of these things start colliding together more and more as we see these events start forming up. And I know I haven't talked about it in a while because I've been waiting on to see exactly when the turn comes, because I know the turn is coming. What happens with Ukraine and Russia? That is another, another angle that we need to look at that's going on within this whole thing. And I don't have a clip already prepared, but I guess I'll just surmise and talk about it just a little bit. What was it? Biden just recently had a Africa summit or something. Actually, let me see if I can find a clip on it. I saw a pretty good clip on it the other day. I don't want to use the democracy now clip, but I'm trying to remember who was it that I saw talking about it. I think it might have been Go Black to Africa. Yeah, I think it was him, because this does involve Africa in particular. And since he does reside there now, this is right in his backyard, what's been going on. So let me find it real quick. Yeah, there it is. No. Oh, I thought it was. Wait a minute. I'm confused. Oh, I guess he's covering it. That's crazy. He's covering it from a Democracy Now! Clip also. I guess we're using the Democracy Now! Clip.
Are being played.
So let's pull it back. Let's skip past the intro. So yeah, I guess we're just going to be using the Democracy Now! Clip. I thought it would be different, but whatever. Whatever gets it done. Oh, shit, I didn't mean to stop it. But yeah, this will be the last segment we'll do on here, and then we will skip over to Rockfin, because I want to be able to speak freely. That's right. That's right. I'll show you guys a couple of shorts that I've done recently. Give you a little bit of humor. But here we go.
To counter the growing influence of China and Russia in Africa.
Back up just a little.
African nations are in Washington, D.C. this week for a 3-day Africa summit organized by the Biden administration. The U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit comes as the United States is trying to counter the growing influence of China and Russia in Africa. On Monday, Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, revealed the United States is pledging $55 billion in economic, health, and security support for Africa over the next 3 years.
Several key leaders from Africa have joined top U.S. officials to discuss peace, security, and governance issues at the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa.
So yeah, I know that wasn't much, but that's all. I wanted to show you guys that so you guys can know what we're talking about, at least a little bit. And like it was said in the clip, they have noticed that China and Russia has been doing a lot more partnerships in Africa. And for those who don't know and think Africa is just those, those sad movies where they got the old man walking around and saying, well, if you donate, $1, you can feed, whatever, this kid over here for 1 week. That's more of a scam than anything. There are many parts of Africa that have their own cities and have municipalities and have governments and true. Do different parts of Africa have their own problem? Yes, but we also got to remember Africa is a continent, not just some little country. Africa is large enough that it can fit pretty much half of the world into its landmass. That's how large it is. I mean, outside of, if let's say we take Russia and Asia out, it can literally fit every other country inside of Africa. It's that big. So of course you have some areas that are extremely wealthy. You have some areas that are deeply impoverished, no different than you have in any of these continents. There are parts of America that are extremely wealthy and some that are deeply, deeply impoverished, no different. But what's going on is you have some of these partnerships, I will admit, it is China more so is doing this than Russia, kind of more taking advantage. It's kind of like, we know that you're getting screwed over, so we will kind of take advantage. It's kind of like, this dude is like, hey, when I come back, if you don't give me X, I'm destroying your whole business. They're like, hey, well, if we take just a couple of pennies less, well, it's not really a couple of pennies, it's quite a bit. If we take half of what they take, even though we know that's a whole lot, we will protect you. And that's kind of what China's doing. They're kind of being more opportunist. Whereas Russia, believe it or not, for a very, very long time, has been very cooperative and helped Africa's development in many, many countries. Is China and Russia doing this for just because they want to help Africa or the Caribbean or Latin America, any of these places they're going into? I don't think so. But regardless, they are helping out. And instead, what's happening is they are more or less giving some kind of aid and assistance, more or less, to counter the West. And so it's like, well, if I can get more allies as I go against these larger Western powers, then I will use what I can use. So I don't think that it's all benevolent. I don't think that it's all just to take advantage of them, but that's what I believe is going on. And what's happened is America has started noticing, like, oh crap, a lot of these African nations are telling us to go fuck off. They're telling us, no, we're not going to deal with you. And so they're trying their best to get back into good graces. That's the same thing which we saw not too long ago with NBS, when Biden went over there and tried to, do a little pound and, hey, can we get you to turn the oil reserves back on for us after I talked a lot of shit about you. That's kind of what we have going on. See, yeah, Mr. Street says, look smaller on the map. I'll show you something in a minute. Shelley says, Africa is something like twice the size of North America, but Africa is always shown smaller on the maps. I'm going to show you all. This is when I started questioning a lot of things. When I saw this, you have two different maps. This map is it's called the Mercator projection. Actually, let me see if I can pull them both up. Versus scale. All right. So let's see, images. The Mercator map is the one that we typically see on a regular basis. And actually, it's probably better if I just do them separately, because in most of our schools, this is the map that we've grown up seeing. And there's a reason for this. There's a reason why they do it this way. So click Mercator projections. So this one on the right here. Let's see if that makes it bigger or not. Nope, that didn't do it. Okay, back off of that. Yeah, I got to figure out how to use this Google Lens thing, but I got another way of doing it. Let's see. All right, I don't know if you guys can see that, if that helps at all. You guys see this map, right? Well, it's showing right here. This is Africa, of course. It's showing Africa is slightly bigger than, it's showing it as a thicker version of South America. Right here, here's Europe and all that. You see how big, like, trying to remember, I think this is Greenland. Continents only make sense on a flat earth. But, yep, and there's more accurate pre-transatlantic slave. Yes, that is true also. So now let's go to, so keep this in your mind. You guys see Africa, right? Now, let's go back to that and let's go click A. Gail Peters. Now, you see how much larger Africa is on this map, whereas you could comfortably fit that inside and you could fit America inside. But that's not even, this is just a Gail Peters map to kind of give a better impression. You guys see how Greenland here has gotten a lot smaller, how Iceland, you can barely even see it, how the continent of Europe has gotten much, much smaller than it was, because over here, when you start getting into Asia, these countries over here, but right across here, this part right here is basically Europe. So you could take this, well, part of it goes into Russia, but this part of mostly Western Europe and the Mediterranean, an actual projection would fit. In fact, let's see if I can pull this up. Sorry, my computer is in a weird spot, so when I type, it's so awkward. All right, so there we go. You guys see this, the true size. So you see China right here. You have India that fits in here. Great Britain would fit into Madagascar. You have the United States here. You have Portugal, Spain, France, Germany, Italy. So you guys seeing Eastern Europe right here. So this is the whole European continent, minus like Siberia and all that stuff. Here's the USA, China, India, and Eastern Europe. And the reason why they do that, I think here's another one right here. The reason why they did this back in the day is because they wanted to make America and the European countries more prominent and diminish away from the non-European countries. And so they want to minimize them. So that's why they did that. Everyone watch Odd TV's Flat Earth documentary. Oh, I have not seen it. Oh, by the way, hello, Variant. I saw you come in, but I forgot to say hey. Yeah, it's a huge difference, Jira. And this is done on purpose. That said, that reminds me of something. I don't know if you guys seen it or not, but I need to I'll pull that up real quick. I don't know who all have seen it or that well, seen it or even know about it, but I had a interview the other day. Let me pull it up. with, let's see, did I have it on this channel? Not, yes, I did. That you all need to check out. I'm not going to show it here or not, but let's skip ahead and show you all who I had on. Let's see, share screen. And yes, so for those who did not catch it, I had the pleasure of having Bart Sibrel on. So for those who are not familiar with Bart Sibrel, he came up with a documentary about the moon landing and that the moon landing was fake. For those who are like still like, okay, I don't really know who that is. Do you guys remember when Buzz Aldrin punched that astronaut? I mean, well, Buzz Aldrin, the astronaut, punched that reporter. This is that reporter which he punched. So if you guys want to hear what Bart's talking about, make sure you guys go to Sibrel.com. He has a lot of different stuff on there. He has the documentary. I think I titled this one Moon Man, interview with Bart Sibrel, Moon Man. So please go check it out. Baba says, I watched this. It was a great interview. Yeah, I mean, I only had a little bit of time to get him on some stuff. And we will have a part 2. Bart said he definitely would love to come on and talk a little bit more. So actually, you know what? While I got it on the screen, why don't I just play just a tad bit for you all here?
Show that unfortunately they did fake the moon landing. And because they're still claiming that they went to the moon to this day, Orwell's great quote, whoever controls the past controls the future, is proven true by the moon landing fraud. Because as long as they're saying in the past that they control, that the moon missions are real when they're not, then those same devils are controlling our future in the government, which is not a good thing.
Well, I tell people all the time, I mean, think of, a little bit about me. My background is I'm former military. I worked in weapons also. I spent time around some flight lines, so I know what thrusters look like when they do some, when they're taking off and landing. That's something I know a little bit about, and I know a little bit about history. Oh, okay, so yeah, that's that. Make sure you guys go check that out. That is on here. Let's see. Thomas says, first time I heard an astronaut punching a reporter. Let me see if I can find that. I'm gonna go to Bart's channel real quick. Yeah, he has a clip of it on there when Buzz Aldrin punched him. But he had a whole he has a whole video on there. It's called like Astronauts Gone Wild. And it's not only, man, if I can find that whole clip, it is hilarious. So Bart Sibrel, there's his page. Yeah, let's see more. And in the chat, I shared part of the moon landing hoax confession, and basically it was a man who worked, who was over security and things like that, former military guy, and he was, I guess, sworn to secrecy. On his deathbed, he told his son that the moon landing was faked. His son kept that secret all those years. And then on his deathbed, he recorded a video and he gave that video to Bart. So that's what that was going into. Where is it? Looking for the Astronauts Gone Wild. I'll just type it in. Buzz Aldrin because I know you guys have seen it. Wow. They don't make stuff easy to find anymore. I remember years ago, this used to just pop right up. Oh, there it is. No, that's close enough. That'll work.
For something you didn't do.
Let me take it back.
So Buzz Aldrin is part of this fraternity of guys who, I don't even know how he gets his flight suit on the size of this guy's balls. So anyways, this fucking YouTube video, one of those moon conspirator people comes up to Buzz Aldrin and starts calling him a coward and a liar. You're a liar. You're a coward. You never landed on the moon. Right?
I know you'd like to get a lot of attention, wouldn't you?
Well, you're the one getting money for something you didn't do. You're getting a lecture for walking on the moon when you didn't. Well, that's called being a thief. That's called being a thief.
And first of all, you know me. I love a good conspiracy, but
Okay.
I don't get
I don't want to hear this guy's commentary. Let's just get to it. There we go.
All right? A fucking tough son of a bitch, but there's a certain level of respect. The same reason why I don't yell at that old fucking coot down below at me. I just don't yell at the guy because he's an old guy.
Yeah, I've done.
So this guy, this fucking tubby, goddamn fucking.
Let's mute it. But yeah, right here, the guy's telling that, hey, you don't need to do this here, whatever. He's like, no soliciting. He's like, I've already rented out the top floor in this hotel, so I do have right to be here. At this point, he goes up and he's trying to get Buzz to put his hand on the Bible and swear that they went to the moon. And so they circle back. I don't know why this guy, I guess he clipped it a couple of times, but at this point, he's already like walked back into the inside. Yeah, double clip this thing. So I guess finally it's going to get to it. But, geez, is it ever going to get there? All right, there it goes. When he starts walking back in, he starts asking him again, put your hand on the Bible and admit that you did not go to the moon. And he was doing this for a while, going around to all the astronauts and asking them to put their hand on the Bible and swear that they went to the moon. And right here is right at the point when Buzz has had enough. Wow. Just cold cocks him right in the face. And there's more videos. Like there's another one where the astronaut literally like kicks him in the ass. So that, yeah, let's see. Stop video. So yeah, sure. Let's get back down to it. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen the video. And in the comment section of that interview, I put in I started off showing like a clip of some of his past interviews where he's talking about the CIA following him and all kind of different stuff. One of the interviews that he has, something pretty interesting happens. The guy wants him up out of there real fast. And so what he does is he's telling him basically get the fuck out of here, because he's showing him on a monitor like, okay, this is shadows and stuff, that this is why I do not believe you. Guy gets mad, and when Bart turns his back, he kicks him in the ass. And so he's getting his stuff, getting the hell out of there. The guy's there with his son, and he had left his microphone still in there from, recording. And the guy's son says, hey, should we call the CIA and have him whacked? I don't know why why astronaut has a CIA on speed dial. That's pretty strange. and why he would talk about the CIA whacking a reporter for asking these questions. There's another one where a guy he's running from him. Another one, he's like, I don't give a damn what you're talking about, these shadows, and I don't care. So he couldn't get like none of these astronauts would. I figure if it's me and I think this guy's a quack, I'm like, dude, here. Yes, I swear I went. Are you happy? Can you leave now? Bye. And leave it at that. But I don't know. So I mean, one of these days I'll go into more of my theories on why I don't believe it. And part of one of the things which I showed you guys earlier, the map. Every single projection of what the Earth looks like, it's in the formation of basically like the Gale Peters, I mean, not the Gale Peters, but the Mercator projection map. And the Mercator projection we know is wrong. We know for a fact it's wrong. So why are all the pictures from the moon showing an image that we know is not accurate? I mean, I've literally looked up the dimensions, or not the dimensions, because dimensions are for smaller things, but when you start looking up the mileage per square mile of each continent and start measuring those versus what it says for the continent of Africa. And Africa is huge. It's freaking huge. And a lot of these places where you see on the map are much, much smaller than they're made to look. So, and I used to think it was weird being in Europe, how we could travel from country to country to country as if like being in the United States, going to state to state to state. I mean, you easily could go through 6 countries in certain parts of Europe, and those 6 countries all could possibly fit into Texas alone. I mean, so, and I started kind of, thinking something's up here. So, Street says, depending on what side of the matrix you're looking from, I'm going with the Book of Enoch. Don't take too much stock in the Book of Enoch. There's a lot of holes in there. My thinking is anything that it's supposed to go with the Bible and be cohesive to the Bible, but contradicts the Bible, you gotta start questioning it. Or you'd have to question the Bible. But something has to be questioned here because these two things do not line up. Yeah, old Buzz can throw a punch. Let's see. I see Pacheco in here. One saw Neil get blown off stage by a surprise firework. And, that's funny. I also noticed like just some of their postures and behavior is just weird. I can meet plenty of people who'll say all kind of stuff. I've had people say, "Oh, well, I don't think some of those weapons are even real. I think they're just all plastic tanks." And has our military used fake props? Yes. But is everything we use fake? Hell fucking no. I've been literally on carriers. I've been on, frigates out to sea, sailing on them, so I know that they're not all real. I mean, they're not all fake. Has anyone seen Doris Whitney Webb interview? I think I have, but not sure. Baba says they can't go past the radiation thing, the Van Allen belt. Yes, they cannot go past it. There's only so far they can go. Yeah, it's really weird to me. I see Isabella, my friend, good to see you in here. There was just a bunch of things. Like for me, I know that they can't get past the Van Allen belt. And then what was it? I had somebody try to say, well, they can get past it. You just got to go at the right angle. Okay, so if you can get past it, and that's what you're going with, that you got past it, why didn't any of the astronauts have any kind of radiation issues or possible cancers? I mean, it's your first time going through it. You're telling me that you guys were able to deduce exactly which protections that you would need, and everything worked out perfect. You guys figured out the trajectory that you needed to go, how the Earth is spinning, and able to get that correct with the rotation that the moon is doing around the Earth on 1969 technology, which on your phone, not even your whole entire phone, just the clock itself on your phone, the technology that runs the clock is more sophisticated than the computers which NASA was using. That alone should cause some questions to what was going on. And then the shadow stuff, you should not have shadows which are going in towards each other or any that are going at 90-degree angles. That's another issue. The thruster issue, how the thrusters, none of them look like, I mean, you couldn't even see any dust or anything that was sitting on it. I would imagine if this thing is like coming down and a big flame of fire is coming up, dust is being kicked up. And so that dust has to resettle. And no dust landed on the base plates of the craft. That's kind of weird also. Another thing, the whole thing that never made any sense to me, there's no stars. And I heard somebody try to say, well, because the camera couldn't pick up the stars, because since the sun was actually facing that way, it's technically daytime for the moon. What? Daytime for the moon? No, daytime is daytime, nighttime is nighttime. Those are two different things. And so you're telling me that you're literally in outer space, closer to the stars, and yet you can't see any of them? Zero? Nowhere? None of that makes any sense. Baba says they slowed the film to make it look like they were floating in gravity. Yeah, I mean, there's also scenes where astronauts like fall over and then like weirdly they just get yanked back upright. That just looks weird. Neil's algorithm says, guys, there's 20 of us in here. Let's get some more likes on this. Yes, if you guys want to help me out, that's one of the best things that you could do. Is just, give me a like, give a share if you really like what's going on. Oh, I see we got some friends over here on the Rockfin side. Let me hop over here. I see Uma is in the building also. Africa pushback on the COVID vax big time. Yes, and we're going to talk about Pfizer and stuff on the Rockfin side though. And for those who don't have Rockfin, just go to rockfin.com, look at the political matrix. It is free to go on. You do not have to pay to follow over there. The only thing you have to pay for on Rockfin is when it is a premium video, which I only do the just one or two here or there, just because it's something that we agree to, part of being on Rockfin, that we will do some premium content, but I try my best to do as much as my content free, because for me, it's most important just to get you all this information. Yeah, Cibral, good stuff. I see Denver is in the building. Good to see you, Denver. Yes, Mary says it was a good interview. And I'm going to have Bart back. We're going to talk. I definitely want to talk to him on about some COVID stuff. I'll leave it at that. I say look at his website and you guys can understand his perspective on some of that. 4-Foot Owl says, at the original Apollo 11 press, all the astronauts seem morose. It's like, yeah, you'd think they'd be in a better mood if they just got back from the moon. Yeah, I mean, that one which he did once he got back is the only one that he did. He did no more interviews after that. I asked Bart about this, about the Challenger, and he kind of was like, nah, he didn't really agree with my perspective, which that's fine. I believe that that Challenger explosion, which many of us saw, some of us were in school at the time, and it blows up on TV and everybody's all terrified and completely disturbed at what happened. And years later, many people started seeing people which look a lot like those astronauts that were on there, and it got passed off as if, oh well, no, this is his brother, and this guy, like two of the guys allegedly had twins, which none of us knew that these astronauts had twin brothers. And then a couple of them just weirdly had lookalikes that looked exactly like them. And I think you could have that happen with maybe one or two, but with like 8 astronauts, that to me, that just seems pretty fishy. Anna says, you made me look closer at the moon shit. I'm thankful. I'm glad you did, because like I told people, for me, when I saw the difference between the Gale Peters map, which that's not even a full accurate projection, and I saw that all the NASA pictures use basically the Mercator map. And then when you question them on that, they'll say, well, of course, that's not an actual depiction of what the moon looks like. It's a projection. I'm like, so if you have the ability to get up there, you have the ability to take the picture, why don't you give us an accurate picture of what it actually looks like? Why are you giving us projections? And so that's something, if you guys look at it, you will see all of the pictures that you see from the moon are all projections. It literally says that on NASA stuff. If you want to ask me, I'll give you my opinion on why I think it had to do with right after World War II. Think about it. Granted, they talk about the Allied forces, them dominating the Germans. But there's one other thing which really, I think, kind of ended the war. And if you think of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, well, you just had 2 nuclear bombs dropped on a nation. I believe the fact that they took these, Operation Paperclip, go and look into it, where they brought these German Nazi scientists over and they helped start off the NASA space station. I think that it more had to do with trying to work on ways of launching nuclear weapons to be able to attack other nations from further away. I think this is a military exercise more than about a space race. That's what I believe that it was, because you're a lot more dangerous of a nation if you can launch a nuclear attack literally sitting there, and you don't have to get a sub close or get an aircraft carrier close or send a plane over on a nuclear bombing run. If you could just launch them from silos from your own nation, that's a lot more powerful. And that's what I think the whole NASA system was about. I mean, I also thought it was interesting once I started learning a little bit about Hebrew. The Hebrew word, well, if you add an R to NASA, it gives you the word nashar. The word nashar in Hebrew means deceive. So it's kind of weird that the program's name is very close to deceive or deception. And you have a bunch of German scientists. It's a lot that's not clicking up. And so that's what I believe it had to do with. You got to remember that World War I happened. World War II was right on the heels on it. So you got to think maybe in their mind with the Cold War that they were thinking the possibility that World War III was right around the corner. And so, of course, that they would want to be able to have the upper hand and say, if you guys do anything, boom, we're going to nuke you before you even have anything to say. So you stop a ground war. And so that's what I think a lot of that's had to do with. And the continual working towards NASA had to do probably more with getting stuff like Space Link in the air, so you can work on laser guided technology and just more effective weapons. That's what I think it's mostly about. So that said, that's my little spiel on the whole NASA thing. Oh, that's right. Let me show you guys. I just did a, let's see, where's that at? I did a short on here, and I don't know if you guys have seen my recent short that I just did. That one has to do with, I titled it, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla's dream. I'll save that one. I'm gonna show. Let me give you guys a little comedy first. Give you a little comedy first, because I've been trying to work on more shorts. Eventually, when I figure out how the TikTok thing works, because every time I do a TikTok video, like 50% of them, I get copyright strikes and all that. So it's frustrated me. So this one I just did on my Hebrew apologetics page, and I wanted to show y'all this one because it is freaking hilarious. And then we will do then I'll show you the one, the short, which I did on here if you guys haven't seen it yet. That way you guys can share it. You know, take the time to think about what he's saying and break it apart, because it's I can't give my full adulterated opinion on it. So I figure I'll show that one, and then we'll go on to Rockfin after that, and then I get going to what I believe he's saying. So this is the one I did on Hebrew apologetics. It's kind of funny. So let me mute myself first so it doesn't echo. But yes, if you haven't seen this, check out the stuff I do over there. Some of it's funny.
You are going to hell! Everybody, you going to hell! Stop playing! You going to hell! You going to hell too! You're going to be the lead position in hell with the devil! You going to hell! Hell! Everybody, don't play no more! Hell! Say everybody! I can't no more! All y'all going to hell! My wife is going to hell! My kids is going to hell! You are going to hell! Everybody, you going to hell! Stop playing! You going to hell! You going to hell too! You're going to be the lead position in hell with the devil! You going to hell! Hell! Everybody, don't play no more! Hell.
Yeah, I figured y'all needed a good laugh. A good laugh. Is this a Nigerian church? No, it is an American church. Yes, it is an American church, not Brooklyn. I'm not sure where he is. I think he's somewhere in the Midwest. But yes, it's hilarious. Oh, Pacheco has seen this one apparently. Oh, I see a dingo ate me baby is in here. It's like the SR-71 Blackbird, 70 kp climb Mach 4, but we don't have anything faster and higher that can do out. Oh, we got stuff that goes well, military that goes over Mach 10 now. Yeah, Mach 4 is old. That's old school. Yes, he said lead. You're gonna have the lead position in hell next to the devil. I said, oh, this motherfucker is crazy. So I'll give you guys the one more short. I just did this one on the political matrix. Where's it at? Hold on a sec.
US or to Europe or to the world, new medicines. Automatically, those new medicines will be inserted into the offer of the portfolio that we will offer into these countries. I think that is really a fulfillment of a dream that we had together with my leadership team when we started in 19. The first week we met in January of 19 in California, and to set up the goals for the next 5 years. And one of them was by 2023, we will reduce the number of people in the world by 50%. I think today, this dream is becoming reality.
I'm gonna let this play one more time. You guys hear what he said?
So it's really a purpose-driven company.
Every year, as we discover and bring to the US or to the Europe or to the world new medicines, automatically those new medicines will be inserted into the offer of the portfolio that we will offer into these countries. I think that is really a fulfillment of a dream that we had together with my leadership team when we started in 19. The first week we met in January of 19 in California, and to set up the goals for the next 5 years. And one of them was by 2023, we will reduce the number of people in the world by 50%. I think today this dream is becoming reality.
And notice at the end what he said. He said, and notice that we're a purpose-driven company. So he's telling you guys they have a purpose. Yeah, but he does sound like BB. I'm going to share this really quick, this link into, I'm gonna put this in the chat down here at the bottom. Oh, wait a minute, live chat. So that way I have the Rockfin link there. So all you guys have to do is click the link, and then you guys can come over to Rockfin. So I'm gonna give everybody about a, let's see, it's at almost 17 after. I'm gonna give everybody 1 minute to hop over to the Rockfin side, and then we can talk more of the stuff. We got Pfizer to talk about. I want to talk about the I know that's wrong in the description. I'll go back and fix it. It's the Ecto life wombs and euthanasia. So that's what we are going to talk about. Yes, he did say this out in the open, Yipper. So I just think people need to pay attention. I think that was deceptively edited because I remember seeing a longer cut that changes what he said. The one that I that's the version that I saw. And so, yeah, I could be wrong, but if you said any phrasing of those words at all, I don't get how you should be saying anything like that. Yeah, I'll look for the on the other side, on the Rockfin side, I'll look for the original. But that is that's a little creepy that he's even saying that at all. So let's see. It's all right. It's 18 after. So I am going to be signing off here on Rockfin. And once I get over onto the Rockfin side, I will see you guys all over there. So at this time, we're signing off from Rockfin. For those who are not going to follow us over, it was good to have you over here. But yes, come over to @thepoliticalmatrix. I have put the link. Let's see, is it in here? I thought I put it in here. Let's see, I see it, but why don't I see it on here? Let me do it. I'm gonna do it one more time. Put the link in the chat. Weird, it is not showing. It's weird. I can't see that on here. So, but for those who can't see it, just go to Rockfin @thepoliticalmatrix. Yeah, it's censoring it. Yeah, just look for @thepoliticalmatrix on Rockfin. Say that again, @thepoliticalmatrix on Rockfin. So that's it. We are going to leave Rockfin. See you all later. Remove. No, don't want